The changing of seasons can affect how you feel. 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. Visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Jim Gaffigan's new special is out today. Now, I don't have Hulu. I might have to come over to your house to watch this thing, or maybe pony up the $6 or whatever it is. The Skinny, out on Hulu today, the first of the hilarious specials. They'll put out one a month. You probably know about Jim's special because A, you listen to my podcast, and B, he is speaking to every magazine in the world, so that's what the Hulu publicist has been up to. They shared a clip on Threads. It's interesting here. It's a good joke, and it gets a laugh, and then the laugh turns into clapter. Stop with the clapter, everybody. Just laugh. We don't need to clap. Here's the clip.
Because being a parent is like being a psychic who's constantly correct, but always ignored. All day, every day, parents are like, let me look into my crystal ball. Ooh, it's pretty cold out there. You might want to grab a coat. You're fat. Oh, if you stay up late, you may be tired in the morning. You're bald. Ooh, I foresee economic hardship when I kick you out of this house.
Gaffigan was profiled by Men's Health and a bunch of other places, giving me lots of content to pre-tape the weekend. Thanks, Jim. Jim has lost some weight, which is the theme of the special, and he hasn't thrown away his old clothes. He tells Men's Health, maybe I'm a pack rat, but I'm like, I can't get rid of that. And then there's something about the haunting. They're like, you're going to wear me again. Jim says he's gone down 2 pant sizes, and he points out that many of his jokes were centered around his weight. Yeah, he was the food joke guy for years, right? Hot Pockets. Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting to mention, I'm so glad he stopped calling every single album some variation with a pale joke in it. He was the pale guy for a while, too. Don't forget he was the pale guy after he was the food guy. I'm glad he's dropped all that. Jim says, people always used to say if you lost weight, you'd lose your whole act. That nobody ever said that, and that was never true. No one ever said that, Jim. No one ever said that. It's so strange because in some ways, we're not the big funny guy, are we? That's the role I'm supposed to play, but also in some ways, that may be the avenue of our warmth. I never thought of Jim that way. If you'd put a water pistol to my head and said, I'm going to soak you if you don't answer, I would have said he was a family comedian, playing kind of in the same space as Tom Papa. I never thought of him as a food guy. I mean, I know he did the Hot Pocket show, but Jim is on weight loss drug Mounjaro, which works by reducing appetite and improving how the body breaks down sugar and fat. It is taken by injection in the thigh, stomach, or arm, ick, and it is FDA approved to treat type 2 diabetes. Jim says, most of our lives we've been told, just control your appetite, just stop being a pig. The reality is we can't. Maybe our brains are a little wonky or whatever. I think in some ways the appetite suppressants are the justification for people who have compulsive eating, that they're not weak, that some of it can be fixed. In the profile, we also learn Jim is growing vegetables and says growing vegetables makes you more interested in consuming those vegetables, which makes you healthier, which makes you kind of look at what you're consuming, which makes fast food look like the crap that it is. Wasn't it Father's Day when you were selling us bourbon, Jim? How does that fit into this new vegetable diet? I just have a question. That somebody in the audience had that question. They wanted me to ask you. So are we not drinking bourbon now? We're eating vegetables. Got it. John, you're feisty today. I know. The words come out. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, Bill Burr is stepping down from his role as CEO of All Things Comedy. He and one of his longtime business partners, Mike, are launching North Hill Productions, a new production company with an emphasis on film and TV. All Things Comedy has named new co-CEOs. Bill remains on the board. Bill's 2 podcasts, the Monday Morning Podcast and Anything Better. I didn't even know he had it. What's Anything Better? Am I stupid that I've never heard of this? Anything Better. Bill Burr and Paul Verzi. Seems to be 170 episodes, and each episode since September has been with NFL picks. Now, look, I don't have to admit to not knowing about this, but I'm admitting to don't know about it, haven't heard of it, maybe even told you about it once when they launched it, but I'm on the internet, believe me, 16 hours a day, and when I'm not prepping a comedy podcast, I'm working in the podcast industry. And this thing has never hit my radar. I look at charts. It's never hit my radar. I'm stunned to find out this exists. Again, you can flame me on social media and be like, what kind of idiot doesn't know Bill Burr has a second podcast? This kind of idiot. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just telling you, had no idea. I like football. I like Bill Burr. I will check that out. Personal friend Larry the Cable Guy is touring Nebraska. He'll start the tour in January. It's called Larry's Nebraska Road Trip. Proceeds from the tour will be donated to a local charity in each market. Cable Guy says, I've spent a lot of time traveling the United States, but there's nothing like sharing some laughs with folks in small towns across Nebraska. The people have been my biggest supporters, and I can't wait to put on a great show and get back to the places that shaped me. I have spent a lot of time with Larry the Cable Guy / Dan Whitney. He is an awesome dude. I know some people eye roll his act. You know, some comedians have acts. For example, Gilbert Gottfried had an act. You ever meet Gilbert Gottfried in real life? Very soft-spoken man. Was not the same as the persona. Cable Guy is an awesome guy. He'll kick off the tour in Kearney, Nebraska, January 23rd. He's also going to Wahoo. That's awesome. Wow, look at these venues. Wahoo High School, then Central City High School, Pawnee City High School, Falls City, then Norfolk, where he'll play the Norfolk High School Johnny Carson Theater, York High School, and the Midwest Theater in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Wow, that's awesome. All right, I'm going to hit up his publicist. I want to talk to him about this sometime in the next 2 months. I will do that as soon as I'm done recording today. I told you yesterday, I watched Adam Ray's special on Netflix. This is the Dr. Phil one that I didn't get. Now I get it. Oh my God, that was so much fun. I was laughing out loud, which I don't always do with comedy specials. And as the time went on, I was texting my friends. I texted my son. I made my wife come down. I was really enjoying this thing. It does have diminishing returns as the hour goes on. There are some special guests who appear. I don't want to totally spoil who shows up. But the front half of the special, fantastic. It will make my end of the year list, but in that tier 2 part. I won't go down the list today. The LA Times caught up with Adam Ray. And they were curious, what made you decide on doing a special with Netflix as Dr. Phil rather than doing a standard specialist yourself? Adam said, yeah, Netflix came to us once the show, that's the live show at Comedy Store, got as big as it's gotten. Shows were selling out months in advance at the Comedy Store. Then we added theater shows, and those are all 2,500 to 5,000 seats, and those started selling out well in advance. So it's just one of those things where the people in comedy over at Netflix got wind of it and had been tracking it. We've had big names in the comedy game, but once we booked the real Dr. Phil, the Netflix people were like, all right, this is something special. Phil and Phil together is really cool. Let's do it. It all came together really quickly. LA Times said, how'd you even get the idea to dress like Dr. Phil of all people? Adam said, it got to a point where I was getting into a monotonous routine of auditioning, stand-up, podcasting, waiting to be on people's stuff. All good, no complaints. But I was losing some joy for what I was doing. If I'm not creating, I'm not happy. I just got tired of waiting around, was thinking, if I could have my show, what would it be? I thought releasing a pilot would be a way to challenge myself. So I was like, all right, I'd love to play 3 different characters in a dysfunctional family show. There was a son, a grandma, and one was a gay hairdresser with a fat suit. A bald guy that left his wife became gay, opened a salon. The makeup took 4+ hours. We shot it over a weekend. I got a bunch of favors from friends who were in it. One of my friends was playing a salon client in it and told me I sort of looked like Dr. Phil. So that night I was like, I should just go do stand-up in this outfit. I figured I should milk it and get a little more content after getting into makeup for that long. I hit up Joel McHale, who was over at the Laugh Factory. I told him I was going to come by, and Joel said he'd bring me up as Dr. Phil. I went up as him, and we were messing around with the voice a little bit, and people were eating it up. That's awesome. And this was pre-pandemic. Adam said when COVID hit, Jeremiah Watkins, who plays a different character in every show, and I were talking about trying to find a safe way to have some fun. We rented a little studio space and did these lost Dr. Phil episodes where Phil would interview one of his characters, would improvise for 2 hours and put around 40 minutes of it on YouTube. That's where I got to find what the version of the character was for me, honing it and getting reps from doing it. I found this kind of likable yet abrasive guy who's still trying to help these people. The actor strike hit shortly after we got back from COVID, and it was like, I need to be throwing more darts. I was already doing these Adam and Friends shows at the Comedy Store, but there were a bunch of these type of shows that started popping up, so it kind of made me feel I was doing what everyone else was doing. Burr had to cancel on one of my shows, but he was committed to do the next date no matter what, and I was like, okay, now would be a good time as any to try this out. I was like, Bill, instead of doing a stand-up show, I'm thinking of doing Dr. Phil with a monologue, some crowd work, and we'll do an interview and then play a game. He could have been more excited about it. That really gave me the juice to do it. It went really well, sold out in a day. It became a challenge of, all right, let's do more of these and let's play with the elements of it. Changes all the time, but we found a really good groove. Next thing you know, we're doing the Netflix special and live streaming it. And that was a huge success and got the show to people outside my normal fan base. There's a lot more here. I'll pick up on that tomorrow, but watch that special. It is fantastic. Have I not told you how much fun it is to root against Aaron Rodgers? Do you not listen to me? Underdog is the place to play. if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports, and I'll add, rooting against Aaron Rodgers like I do. I can't stand the Jets. They can't be miserable enough, and it's been a great season for Jet hating. With over 5 million happy players and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances, or say your least favorite athletes' performances. Now, I don't really hate Aaron Rodgers, the dude. I just hate the Jets, and he's the quarterback of the Jets. I got the app open right now. Aaron Rodgers, 232.5 passing yards, higher or lower? What do you think I'm going to pick? Lower. Call your shot by picking higher or lower on 2 or more players' stats. Underdogs for everyone. You can make a play with only $1 or go big and win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the app today and use code DCN to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Download the app today and use code DCN to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus, Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Download the app today and use code DCN to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly.
Tired of doom scrolling? Time for a dose of awesome. 5 Good News Stories is your happy place, where underdogs become champions, crossing guards become legends, and impossible dreams come true. We're serving up 5 fresh reasons to believe in humanity. From world records to cute animal stories to that guy who turned his pizza shop into a homeless shelter. These are the stories that'll make you go, wait, what? That's amazing! Ready for your good news fix? Follow 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts, because let's face it, we could all use more awesome in our lives. The number 5 Good News Stories.
You know what's good news if you're me? When you cut an Adam Ray story in half and bump 4 things before the commercial break, that means you have enough stuff to pre-tape the weekend. Look, I pre-tape the weekend. What do you want from me? I don't do this 7 days a week. I do it 4 usually. I do other things. Now, this next thing I didn't plan. There just happened to be 3 things in a row that are all British. Matt Friend, he went on Sky News and he busted out his Trump impression and a pretty good King Charles. Let's listen.
You know, I went to the Churchill, the War Rooms. Churchill's a friend of mine, too. We golfed last week at Mar-a-Lago. Just a great guy. Little heavy set, but a great guy. I don't know. It just happens. You have to get me out of the loop.
Who's difficult to impersonate? Have you ever given up on?
Well, I'm trying to figure out other dialects. You know, the King Charles is quite fun. When I come here to England, I try out different voices, and it's more based off of the Crown's interpretation.
Now, tonight in the UK is the 2024 Royal Variety Performance. King Charles will be at this thing. By the way, I wanted to cross-promote. We have a whole show called Palace Intrigue. All we do is talk about the British royal family. Now, we do it as New Yorkers, so we're not, like, respectful of the royal family. We're not disrespectful, but we're not like, ooh, we said the wrong thing, or we didn't call him His Majesty, or we got someone's title, or we don't care. We're New Yorkers. Oh my goodness, what a fun topic. If nothing else, Harry and Meghan carry the show. Love you, Harry. Love you, Meghan. Keep doing what you're doing because it's great for downloads. That's called Palace Intrigue, wherever you get your shows. Anyway, the King, His Majesty, will be at the Royal Variety Performance tonight. Shortle did a preview from a comedy standpoint. Comedians Ellie Taylor, Matt Ford, Scott Bennett, who is a different person than the guy who doesn't like my Joe Coy joke, is a different guy. And Larry Dean will share the stage with an impressive lineup at the Royal Albert Hall. You've heard of that. Thanks, Beatles. Also at this show, Elton John, not a comedian, magicians Penn and Teller, kind of comedians. The Mischief Theater will preview their upcoming West End show, The Comedy About Spies. That seems to be a comedy. Proceeds from the Royal Variety Performance will benefit the Royal Variety Charity, which supports those in the entertainment industry who are in need of care and assistance. Meanwhile, the Times of London went to go see Zainab Johnson. She's got a show in Soho. That show's called Hijab's Off. The Times writes, she'll often take one slightly wonky notion, then unpack its lack of logic at length. The friend who urged her to buy canned food and postage stamps when the pandemic broke say, postage stamps? Or a suggestion that the way to deter potential burglars was to leave her male friend's boots outside her door, making every nonsense register on her expressive face as she keeps up a kind of nothing can dent me hostess charm. She carries the room. The big stages beckon, 4 stars out of 5. She's at the Soho Theater through the 23rd. If you're in Vancouver, it's the Little Weird Weekend, a 3-night festival featuring 10 shows by local comedians, hosted by the Little Mountain Gallery. The goal of the festival is to support local comedy while pushing the boundaries of normal formats. Vancouver is awesome, says some of the shows include a local take on Taskmaster, a show inspired by the Am I the A-Hole subreddit on Reddit, and an interactive stand-up comedy show that allows the crowd to comment on the show while it's happening. Brent Constantine is the executive director and says, we really like alternative formats that are outside traditional stand-up or improv. You know, I don't forget if I mentioned, that's why I liked the Adam Ray Dr. Phil thing, because it was trying to be something, right? It was just, whether it lands or not, it went for it. And I love things that go for it. Brent Constantine said, our hope is that this encourages people to put on different kinds of shows, and also that some of these first-time shows will be successful and run regularly. Amen. From PremierChristian.com, your home for comedy news, Fern Brady has had an advertisement for her tour banned by the Advertising Standards Authority. The ASA ruled that the advertisement was offensive to Christians. All right, John, what's going on here? Well, the ad featured Brady appearing to squirt milk from her breast into the mouth of a man dressed in religious clothing in front of a stained glass window. Fern Brady argued that the image was a satirical recreation of the lactation of St. Bernard, which I'm unfamiliar with, but apparently is a 17th century painting by Alonso Cano, which depicts the Virgin Mary spraying milk into the mouth of St. Bernard of Clairvaux. Is that a real thing? Deacon Mike, where are you? I need you. I should just call him. Yeah, I'm doing a Google here, and this is a thing. I'm sourcing the University of Iowa here. They seem legitimate. According to a 14th century legend, Bernard prayed before a statue of the Madonna Lactans. As he spoke the words, show yourselves to be a mother, the statue suddenly came to life. The Virgin placed her breast into Bernard's mouth and nursed him as she did the Christ child. In many cases, this tale was illustrated with Bernard and the Virgin standing at a distance from one another as the Virgin squeezes milk from her breast that shoots into Bernard's mouth. John, reining in, comedy show, remember? Yes, sorry. Wow, I went down the rabbit hole there. Fern Brady parodied that in an ad. The ASA has ruled it's offensive to Christians. Fern said, the ad was meant as a contemporary interpretation aligned with her irreverent comedic style, not an attempt to mock or belittle its original religious significance. All right, I'm a Christian. I'm not offended. And Fern, I don't believe a word you said. You know what you're doing. Come on. You know what you're doing. You know. Don't act like, oh, it's a contemporary interpretation. You know what you're doing. Come on. Brady responded to the ban, reportedly calling the person who complained some virgin on social media and questioning why the ad was deemed objectionable. You know why. And I'm not going out on that one. I can't wrap up on that story. One more from Thrillist. They caught up with Aparna Nancherla, the subject travel. Aparna said, I grew up really enjoying to travel. My parents were both doctors and they'd go to lots of medical conferences in all kinds of cities. They brought me along. We went to Hawaii once and I saw my first Wholpin, which is the child of a whale and a dolphin, and that really stuck with me. Is that a thing? That's not a thing, is it? Boy, this show's weird today. All right, I typed Wholpin in, and Google auto-completed to Wholpin, Hawaii. According to Wikipedia, a Wholpin is an extremely rare cetacean hybrid born from a mating of a female common bottlenose dolphin with a male false killer whale. That's a thing? Now, The Guardian has a headline for 2018 say, don't call it a Wholpin, first rare sighting of a whale-dolphin hybrid. What is this show today? From 2018, The Guardian, scientists are touting the first sighting of a hybrid between a melon-headed whale and a rough-toothed dolphin in the ocean of Hawaii, but don't call it a Wholpin, they say. The melon-headed whale is one of the very species that's called a whale, but it's technically a dolphin. Robin Baird is a research biologist with Washington State-based Cascadia Research Collective and says calling it something like a Wholpin doesn't make any sense. I think calling it a Wholpin just confuses the situation more than it already is. Look at all the trouble you stirred up, Aparna Nancherla, but at least everyone has forgotten about the lactating story I just did, and I'm getting out there. See you tomorrow.
Welcome to the new podcast, 5 Minutes of Death, where we explore the profound mysteries of mortality with an open heart and curious mind. I'm Olivia, and I'll be your guide as we travel from ancient wisdom traditions to modern near-death experiences and sacred burial rituals to transformative spiritual practices. We're diving deep into humanity's greatest contemplation. Think conversations about death have to be heavy? Think again. So join me for 5 Minutes of Death, because understanding death isn't just about endings, it's about discovering the infinite within the finite. 5 Minutes of Death, available wherever you get your podcasts.